AI can be extremely effective for finance professionals, but if you start using it without the right structure, then two things usually happen. Either you don't know where to start, or the results you get are generic and not useful for real financial work. So in this video, I'll show you exactly how to start using AI as a finance professional so that after watching this, you know which tools to use, how to prompt them for structured financial analysis, and how to validate the results before using them in your projects. If you use AI correctly, you can shift your time from executional work toward decision-making work. So by the end of this video, you'll go from an unclear starting point to having a clear, practical framework for using AI in your finance work. And if you want to use the exact prompts I'm showing you in this video, then you can find them all inside my free community linked in the description. 1. What AI actually means in finance. The first thing we need to understand is what AI can do for finance professionals like yourself. AI in finance works on 3 levels. Understanding these levels is what separates finance professionals who get consistent value from those who try it once and then get a generic result and then move on. Now, the first level is as a thinking partner. So this is where AI speeds up the structured thinking that you do in your work. It's the part where you're looking at a data set and trying to figure out what's causing the variance. It's also where you're imagining different downside scenarios before building them, or maybe testing ideas before presenting to a CFO. Now, AI doesn't replace that thinking, but it just helps by giving you a starting point that's structured. The second level is structured analysis. So here, AI goes beyond just supporting your thinking and helps you actually analyze the data. So things like breaking down variances or creating sensitivity tables or doing ratio analysis or maybe modeling scenarios. These are tasks that follow a clear structure but take time to do manually. And when given the right prompts and the right format, AI can produce a near ready draft analysis in just minutes. Now, it's not doing the thinking itself, but applying structure and speed that's hard to match. You then review, you adjust, and then you take ownership of the results. The third level is automation. Now at this stage, routine finance workflows run smoothly on their own. Monthly reports that follow the same format each cycle, or models that update automatically when assumptions change, or maybe it's board comments that pull from reconciled data into templates. Basically, AI here is taking all the manual load off your hands. Now, here's an important point about all 3 levels. Your value as a finance professional isn't in how much time you spend formatting tables or writing initial explanations. Your true value lies in your judgment, what the numbers mean and what actions can be taken. 2. Simplified setup. Okay, so now we know what AI can do for us. It's important for you to also understand how to set it as well. Now, many believe that setting up AI for finance requires a complex environment like 10 tools and custom models and automation pipelines and perhaps even some coding. But this misconception can overwhelm you before you even begin using AI. To start using AI in finance, you only need really 3 things. You need a high quality AI engine, your spreadsheet, and your current finance workflow. And that's all. There's no need to rebuild everything. And you don't have to automate every process at once. When choosing an AI engine, there are 4 practical options that stand out. You have ChatGPT, Gemini Advanced, Claude, and Microsoft Copilot. Now here's how to choose. If you want a flexible starting point for reasoning, drafting, and building repeatable prompt patterns, ChatGPT is an excellent default. If your team works closely with Google Workspace, especially with documents and sheets, Gemini Advanced will fit better. For tasks involving lengthy, document-heavy work like covenant review or contract extraction or enterprise memos, then Claude is the stronger choice. And if your team is already using Microsoft 365 and Excel, then Copilot integrates AI directly into the tools that you're already familiar with. Once you have your AI engine, the workflow is simple and consistent. You extract, validate, and refine, and then use AI to surface hypotheses or draft summaries or to suggest structures. Then bring the output into Excel, run your formulas, and check the reconciliation. After that, send the refined data back to AI to tighten the narrative, to run new scenarios, or prepare for a presentation. One last important point: sensitive financial data. The rule is to never paste raw sensitive information such as names or account details or contract clauses into a public chat. Always anonymize first. Use tokens, aggregated totals, or anonymized data. And if you're handling confidential information, rely on enterprise connectors with the appropriate controls in place. 3. Prompting discipline. Okay, so now I want to tell you what actually separates professional grade outputs from generic ones using just prompting. Most models fail because the prompt itself is faulty. For example, when someone types, "Analyze this financial statement," they are asking the model to guess. There is no role, there's no time frame, there's no metric definition, no output format. So the model fills in the blanks. And in finance, filling in the blanks is very risky. So here is the difference in practice. If you ask AI to just analyze this financial statement, that's a weak prompt. But if you structure your prompt specifically like this, you're specifying that it needs to act as a senior fp&a analyst. So this is a SaaS company with 80% gross margins. Analyze revenue volatility drivers over the last 6 quarters. Separate price, volume, and mix where possible. Do not assume missing data. If data is insufficient, state limitations clearly. Return your answer in a structured format under the headings. Nothing technical changed, but you just made it more concise. Every finance prompt needs 5 things. A role, so that the model knows how to think. Context, meaning the business model, key metrics, and exact periods. A task, which is the precise analytical objective. Constraints, covering what assumptions are allowed or forbidden, and what accounting basis applies. And an output format, meaning exactly how you want results returned. When all 5 are present, the model operates within boundaries instead of inventing them. So here's the practical rule for structured output. If you need a table, be explicit. Request a table with columns such as metric, current period, prior period, variance, percent change, and explanation. For sections, clearly specify them, like using observations, assumptions, and recommendations. If you require Excel-ready output, ask for CSV blocks. Always define the boundaries first. Specify the exact time frame. Units like USD millions, thousands, or raw currency. And the metric, whether revenue like net recognized revenue or EBITDA revenue minus COGS and OPEX, excluding one-offs. State the accounting basics clearly. Because if data is incomplete, instruct the model to indicate missing data and to stop rather than guess. For the 3 main prompts you will use most often in practice, variance analysis, scenario planning, and board memos, I'll put those on screen here. First, we'll cover the variance analysis prompt, then scenario planning prompt, and finally, the board memo prompt. Keep an eye out for these warning signs. If deadlines shift unexpectedly or metrics become unclear or they change their meaning mid-analysis, or if you come across confident conclusions supported by no calculations, or if the numbers produced don't match your inputs, it's time to take a pause and clarify your prompt. Restate the definitions and try again with stronger constraints. Now, once you're satisfied, we can now move on to beginner use cases and how to run them efficiently. 4. Real workflow demonstration, beginner use case. Now, let me show you how to run a scenario so you know what the outputs will look like. And we'll start with a simple use case. The dataset we are working with is intentionally simple. 6 months of SaaS financial data with 4 columns. Month, revenue, COGS, and OPEX. Now, stable gross margins around 80%, a small dip in September, and growing EBITDA. This mirrors a realistic fp&a monthly review. That is what you'll see on screen now. Now, the workflow runs in 4 steps, each one building on the last. Step 1 is the structured financial summary. We upload the file and run this prompt. What you should see back is a revenue trend commentary, identification of the September dip, a clean table with gross profit, gross margin, EBITDA, and EBITDA margin for each month, and 3 professional follow-up questions. That is what you'd see on screen here. Step 2 is the revenue volatility check. September gets flagged as a decline. The percent change calculation is shown clearly. The table is structured and ready for Excel. That is what you would see on screen here. Step 3 is the ratio deep dive. You get confirmation that COGS runs at 20% of revenue, a margin stability insight, and a clean table ready to copy into Excel. And that is what you see on screen here. Step 4 is the sensitivity analysis. This is what an EBITDA impact table looks like across 3 scenarios, including margin compression under the downside case, along with a straightforward 2-line interpretation. You can see it clearly here. Now let's compare how long this process usually takes. Traditionally, an analyst spends about 20 minutes formatting the data, 40 minutes building ratios, 30 minutes calculating month-over-month changes, 45 minutes developing the sensitivity model, and another 45 minutes writing the summary, and finally 40 minutes reviewing and cleaning up. That adds up to roughly 3.5 to 4 hours. With disciplined prompting and automation, the same workflow can be completed in just 45 to 60 minutes. It's important to note what AI isn't capable of saving time on. It doesn't extract data from your ERP system, doesn't perform the final validation, doesn't replace governance reviews, or correct poor source data. Those tasks still fall onto you. Now that we have run the prompts and gotten our output, we move on to validation and control. 5. Validation and control. AI can hallucinate and misinterpret incomplete datasets. AI cannot verify external facts unless you explicitly instruct it to do so. It doesn't mean AI isn't reliable, it just means you need to validate the data. Now, the most common mistakes in finance workflow are predictable. They include misreading column structures or headers in raw exports, or making assumptions about metric definitions without clarification, confusing different time frames like monthly, year-to-date, or quarterly, and creating explanations when data is incomplete. Now, sometimes people speak confidently about weak logic or round numbers inconsistently. But the real risk isn't in these obvious errors. It's in producing polished looking results that seem correct but contain subtle mistakes. Before relying on any AI generated analysis professionally, use this checklist. Are all metric definitions clearly explained? Are timeframes consistent? Do totals match the source data? Are assumptions openly stated? Are calculations shown or verified independently? Is interpretation separate from observation? Does the conclusion logically follow the numbers? If any answer is no or it's unclear, then the output isn't ready. Checking these things is straightforward. Copy tables into Excel, rebuild formulas manually, recalculate margins and percentages, cross-check totals against source exports, confirm units, and verify scenario outputs line by line. Never assume calculations are correct just because they look structured. Remember, AI helps you think, but only you can confirm if it's right. There are times when AI shouldn't be used at all. If raw data can't be anonymized or secured, or if regulatory filings demand certified calculation pipelines, or if official accounting judgments are needed under audit standards, or if data integrity is uncertain. AI can support workflows, but it doesn't replace regulated processes or certified systems. 6. Clear start today action step. And that's it. Now here is exactly what to do in the next 24 hours. Pick one AI engine you will use for the next week. Open Excel or Google Sheets. Select one small, clean financial data set from your recent work, a 6 to 12 month revenue and expense summary, a basic P&L report, and a departmental expense report. Run the 3 structured prompts we covered. Check the numbers manually in Excel, document what worked and what needed fixing, and you're all set. And that's it. You now know how to start using AI for finance. If you want all the prompts I use, you can join my free community using the link in the description below. Let me know what you think in the comments, and thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.